Welcome to Conspiracy Monday. I'm David John Sponheim, running for president in 2016. We are dealing with an amazing series of events this past week. The 21 embassies, now downgraded to 19 embassies, closed in the wake of news that a terrorist plot is forming among Al-Qaeda. Now this sounds vaguely familiar, does it not? Remember when the same excuse was used time and time again to start wars in America? You remember when the Al-Qaeda threat has always predicted more bloodshed, more war, more conflict? Well, it's very possible they're pulling this rabbit out of the hat because they've got something they need to cover up. Now, who are they? Well, obviously, we're talking about the CIA. Let's not mince words here. These groups of people have been instrumental in starting wars and fomenting economic situations that lead to wars, and ultimately have led our foreign policy along with the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and a whole lot of elitists working through the Bilderberg Group. These are the people that are directing our foreign policy that create wars, that lead to people dying. 5,000, 6,000 in Iraq, Afghanistan. The death toll, I'm talking about people here, young men and women, troops that are dead because they believed in their country and their country was sent out to do a task which doesn't really make sense in the long run. We've got tasks like the Vietnam War. That task didn't work out too well for America, did it? Yet our country's never really faced up to the fact that we failed in that venture. The CIA got away with their little hidden game behind the scenes, and they did what they had to do, and they ended up making a lot of money on the Vietnam War. 58,000 men died. Men and women, mostly men. Then we got 4 million others, collateral lives, souls lost in Southeast Asia. Our government's never really acknowledged what really went on. And when we look back and check out what LBJ was doing, Lyndon B. Johnson was doing when he started that war, we find out that the Bay of Tonkin, the Gulf of Tonkin was invaded, RPT boats were fired on, but then we find out from his Secretary of Defense that that's not the case. Robert McNamara said that no, that was all made up, ostensibly. Anyway, these reveals have never come to pass in our country. We have never seen the media admit error and fault in our foreign policy. So here we are, a nation roaming along with all the power still riding on the 1940s when we were successfully taking over countries and working with our allies, and still riding on that fun and power that we seem to have acquired back then. But now we have a mindless sense of what we're doing, where we're going. With the war in Afghanistan now reaching its, 12th, 13th year now, heroin production has actually increased. Explain that to me, please. Explain to me all the reasons why heroin production has increased now over all these years since we've been in Afghanistan. And the answer is the CIA. That's their cash cow. They're probably making money. Do we know specifics? No, we don't. Do the American people know anything? No, we're really kept in the dark. We're being told what we're supposed to know. And we can't handle the truth, apparently. Apparently America is being shielded from the truth. And the truth is, our nation's been starting wars in order to make money all these years. And now they're doing the same thing. But they're using Al-Qaeda and the fear of Al-Qaeda to start yet another war, in instigating a potential backlash that could lead to a Middle East crisis again with Syria and an enlarged war around the whole area. Look what happened with Egypt. Now running into a situation where we're sending them F-16s and they're almost at the point of a civil war, where the military is seemingly ignorant of the population. This is not a country that's leaning toward democracy like Obama claimed that they were going. This is a country that's been neglected by our leaders. Obama turned a blind eye to Hosni Mubarak's effort to get help for free elections a few years ago, and now we've got Egypt now perched on the edge of a civil war. Iraq, 70 people die weekly in Iraq from insurgent activity. It's not any better than when we left it. Okay? So you're not seeing a long-standing plan to solve America's problems and our position around the world. You're not even seeing a cleanup operation. You're seeing just an endless drain of our resources. Now, this was all put in play many years ago when Henry Kissinger introduced his low-intensity conflict concept. And then Bush came out with the concept of preventative strikes or preemptive strikes. None of these concepts were ever legitimate official policy. And now Obama's got the Arab Spring. It's not a legitimate policy for us. We don't need to support the rebel troops, that many of them are mercenaries in Syria, that end up killing and holding people hostage. They're holding Christians hostage. The mercenaries that are getting money from America and England and France are holding Christians hostage. Christians that support Bashar al-Assad. I mean, this is crazy. So this mixed up policy is going to have to be straightened out, and you're going to need a person with the ability to focus on the direct goal here, which is peacemaking, not war making, peacemaking. You know how cheap it is to have peace? We could save billions on the new contract with the F-35, Lockheed Martin's little sweet deal they've got going right now for approval, $7 billion deal to get 70 F-35s. It's a lot of money for these vehicles that don't really come into play in wars like we're fighting. You know, we have never used any F-22 Raptors in any engagement in either Iraq or Afghanistan, not one. And we've got 187 of these high-priced F-22 Raptors made by Lockheed Martin. All of this is clear and obvious to the average person, but can we all put it together and formulate a third party to stop the two-party control over this country and how they're supporting this military-industrial complex? Well, it's coming to a point now, a real pivot point. You've got the agenda of the far left. Let me show you what this kind of agenda is.
Handle the sheer number of humans who live here. Something has to give, and I believe that it's up to us who have lived a good life to make sure that our children will have the opportunity to live good lives too. I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life. Yeah, so why is it we need to be told how important it is to live a good life? It's almost like they want to get rid of us. Now, I've got people in the room, I've got people having a good life, but we don't exploit those people, and we're not talking about the end of days like Agenda 21 is. We are centrists. We're not about controlling your life, about turning all of us into a bunch of mindless, mush-brained idiots who just accept our fate and go walking off to the death camps. I mean, this is Conspiracy Monday, so we might as well bring up the fact that we are dealing in our country with, there are actual FEMA camps in our country, all around the world. In our country, there are FEMA camps, just like around the world, that have the ability to detain civilians. There's 3 in Georgia, right? That's right, Candy. We're on the line with Candy Ray, and I want to wish you a happy birthday, Candy. It's awesome. This is your birthday today.
Thank you. I actually want to talk about when you say FEMA camps. Mm-hmm. Me and my husband went and seen the Georgia Guidestones, and that was pretty amazing.
Wow.
I didn't get the address for where they said the FEMA coffins were, but we plan on going again and actually checking out the farmland that they say they have the FEMA coffins on.
Right, right. Yeah, I've heard that this is out there. In fact, we've got film of that stuff right here. We'll show it to you. I'm not trying to frighten any of you folks. I'm not like Alex Jones. You know, I'm not telling you, you're going to be on the red list or on the blue list, and they're going to vaporize us and turn us into vaccination guinea pigs for the RFID chips. You know, I'm not trying to freak you out. But yeah, we need to start concerning ourselves when our government, the U.S. Army, produces documents that design the use of FEMA camps, civilian detention centers. Yeah, we uncovered a document. It came out in 2010. The U.S. Army has been developing these things in collaboration with the UN to essentially warehouse innocent civilians. Here's some FEMA camp footage I'm going to show you guys.
The FEMA plans to imprison American citizens have generated a lot of interest around the country.
Just like I said earlier, with the amount of seeds for growing food, I am going to be needed.
You will.
I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be on that kill mailbox colored list.
No, you're going to be living off the land, and a lot of people are going to be opening up their victory gardens in America. I'm going to play footage of this for you, so that you can look at it. And these camps themselves have been constructed. This is a rail car repair facility. This is a a repair facility in Beech Grove, Indiana, and it is very suspicious. It's got turnstiles that are human turnstile control centers like that. They've even got lines that are painted red and blue for human movements, moving people in and out of potential areas. This is fairly old footage. This is about 12-year-old footage. This is not even brought up today. In fact, if you Google the word FEMA camp at Google Map, it won't show you anything. Whereas 4 years ago, you could see the thing light up like a Christmas tree. These FEMA camp facilities and rail car, human moving facilities are suspicious in nature. Senator Lugar funded this one to the tune of over $25 million was dropped into this little facility to make it more safe and secure. And all the fencing is designed to hold people in. It's strange. And all these buildings have been boarded up so it looks almost like they're fumigation centers. Very strange stuff. But, you know, I'm not here to worry about that right now. I don't want to freak you out. Go ahead.
Chat. FEMA camps are not concentration camps. No one is forced to go there. Actually, the FEMA camps is an American version of a concentration camp, dude, if you think about it.
Yeah. And here's the FEMA coffin issue and the New World Order. I mean, you were mentioning outside of Atlanta, you want to go check out the FEMA coffins. They've got a farm field dedicated to 500,000 of these coffins, which can warehouse and hold 2 million carcasses or bodies. We're talking the ability to deal with a major pandemic. So many people are saying, I have no Tourette's at all. Thank you, Gold Diggo. Many people are saying that this is simply a CDC operation, that these FEMA coffins are all stacked ready for a potential pandemic.
It says they're disposable coffins.
Disposable coffins, right. Yeah, that's what they are. Wow. And you know, somebody going
okay, Steve in the chat
Sure.
here
Go ahead.
is not understanding. He's saying that it was started as a relief effort. Obviously, FEMA was started as a relief effort. Everything starts as some kind of neutral or relief something, and then they
Yep.
always have a darker agenda.
Exactly.
They get your trust,
Their trust, yeah. They
and
kind
then
of
they take you away.
Yes, they gain your trust, then take you away. Some people would think, oh, FEMA would be great. They're going to provide food and safety from the gangs that are going to be traveling through my neighborhood hurting me. I better go to the FEMA camp. And we'll all be thinking like the German Jews were in Germany. Well, it's safer there at the FEMA camp. So pretty soon you're going to be, called in. My question is,
Even with Katrina.
right, Katrina?
How many times then and after has FEMA already screwed up and lied?
Right, exactly. The fact is FEMA didn't do very well with Katrina. $35 billion was spent, and they still haven't fixed the ninth quarter. There's still empty houses, dilapidated, condemned buildings. We need the homestead renewal plan that we're proposing in New Orleans. We need it in Detroit. We need it all over the country. Jacques is gone. Jacques, I'll pull your broadcast down, or are you just going to take a break from the kitty cat? Yeah, he took a break from the kitty cat there. Okay. But yeah, you're looking at what would warehouse 4 people. You see the guy laying in the coffin there? 4 people bodies could lay stacked up against each other in one of those things. And they have little caps. So I could see how the CDC would want to deal with a pandemic, and that's why they're all stationed there. So realistically, yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible, but come on. Why would they move bodies in rail cars if we had a major pandemic? I would think those bodies would be safer with quarantines around them in cities, those people. Sometimes you can't burn them because they would spread the disease. The Black Plague could be spread through smoke. This is something they found out a long, long time ago when bubonic plague was plaguing the earth. So I can see why they might need to contain a problem as big as 2 million bodies, okay? But beyond that, I've never seen any other footage of FEMA coffins other than this footage that I'm playing you right now. Excuse me. So those are vaults. Thanks, James. Well, you fantasize all you want. James, it's apparently, you're dealing with a lot of issues. You're not exactly like we are. We're centrists, folks. And we take people in our room chatting who are all over the place, from the far right and the far left. So we have a unique opportunity at America's Third Party to actually entertain new people and talk about new ideas. The concept is amazing. We've got a guy coming in, Steven Nixon. Not sure what that is. I'm going to close the broadcast on that one. All right, so I didn't tell you earlier, but the big story that all these cluster media events, like 21 embassies closing, now down to 19 embassies closing, they're trying to detract us from the big event. The big event is recent information that's filtering through channels, not direct channels, but hearsay channels through the media.
Are you on?
Hearsay channels are saying that during Benghazi and the takedown of Chris Stevens, the ambassador there, and how he was killed along with 3 others, that was actually populated at the time by 31 CIA agents. This is the story that's filtering out that no one wants to deal with, that may be pushed aside by the New York Times information about Al-Qaeda threats around the world. This is exactly what the CIA would be doing. They'd be creating a story, blowing it out of proportion, just so we look the other way and not look at the CIA. Why were they there? And why are certain agents stepping forward off the record talking about this? Well, it turns out that the CIA is doing lie detector tests every week and bi-weekly, just to guarantee that the people that were involved in this event don't talk to the media. So what are they covering? What is so damning about what the 31 agents on the ground during the takedown of Chris Stevens is? What is so damning that they're trying to now create World War III? Now fanning the flame of multiple Al-Qaeda threats. We don't know. Where's the specifics? Read the news. There's no specifics in any of the news ads. You look closely. There are no specifics. The devil is in the details. And unless we get the details, we're not going to root out the devil. All right? Thank you. All right, so that's just one of the conspiracy theories that I'm promoting tonight. For those of you who are here just to talk about conspiracies, it's not going to happen. We talk about everything else as well. We talk about other things. But we usually only talk about conspiracies like the birther issue on Monday night. So if it is Monday night, we will talk about the birther issue. Now, there's ample evidence that Barack Obama's birth certificate... There's ample evidence that his birth certificate has been falsified. It has been falsified. The one that came out right before the Abbottabad attack on Osama bin Laden, that birth certificate was presented and never studied scientifically. Experts have looked at it from afar and seen the copy of the original, and they say, Dave, this is ridiculous. This is not real. I actually have an interview with Doug Vogt, the preeminent expert on documents, who creates scanners here in Washington State. And my interview is on our website, by the way. Just go to the radio icon and you can see it. I go into detail with them about how the birth certificate was clearly a forgery.
This solar storm for September.
Yeah, that's a good one. The solar storm. Yep, that's a good one. Thank you. Good idea, Candy. You're helping me with my file here. I'm going to pull that image up as well. We're looking at potential solar flares of massive magnitude, folks. The idea of a solar flare occurring in September is on the docket. In the rumor mill out there, somebody has stated, and none of this is verifiable, that there's going to be a massive coronal mass ejection in September. And they're claiming that this is how weird conspiracy theories get. They're claiming that there are remote viewers that are listening in on Eric Snowden talking. You know, it's just like, yeah, right. Sure. That's not happening. But what is happening is we are seeing increased solar activity. And I am getting a dry throat from talking too much, so I'm going to sip a little bit. But the solar activity has increased. 2013 is going to be one of the most solar active years in our history. So we are prepared for that. They just determined that there was a hole in the sun, a big, huge, dark hole in the sun, and it's getting bigger. So, and then scientists are saying, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's nothing to worry about. Yeah, we can deal with a little, hole in the sun." Super boring? Well, I don't know why you feel it's super boring, Mr. Gold, whatever you are, because you upgraded from silver to gold. That's nice. Why don't you talk about something that interests you? Because obviously you're not interested in what we're talking about. So you bring up a topic, I'll talk about.
Exactly.
Okay, Gold?
I was going to say, if you're bored,
Yeah. Thank
come
you.
up with a topic of a question.
So, we deal with many subjects, and to do Conspiracy Monday and not talk about World Trade Center attack would be kind of a mistake, I think. So I'm going to bring up a little bit of World Trade Center information as well. Last week we talked about some very interesting theories that George H.W. Bush was behind the event. Now, I'm not committed to an inside government operation yet. I'm still questioning what happened. Was it an inside attack? Was it not? Why did Dick Cheney take so long to respond? All these issues are not being raised in our daily life. Why is it we have a picture of a white streak? And that's the only picture we have. Why are we only given 15 frames? Let's look at it closer. Yeah, it looks more like a missile that hit the Pentagon. Well, it turns out, whatever this thing was, it was going after that office, the Office of Naval Intelligence at the Pentagon, which housed 127 people that were researching a municipal bond transfer that George H.W. Bush had at that time of a $240 billion. Well, is this some sort of an elaborate cover-up?
Besides Pegasus, wouldn't hold any type of
Bond transfer. Go ahead, what were you saying, Candy? I'm listening. It's just a theory. I mean, why is it?
I said besides Pegasus,
Pegasus.
the brainchild of time travel.
Pegasus, the
I wouldn't have
brainchild.
any interest in the Pentagon.
Exactly. Pegasus, the brainchild of time travel. That's got to be the best thing you could possibly say at a bar when you have nothing to talk about. I love it. I mean, just, hey, have you heard of Pegasus, the brainchild of time travel? That's like a really good thing. I've never heard that before. I've got to look that up. You got me wondering, what is this all about? Pegasus. I'm gonna do a Google search right now. The brainchild of time travel. This is really
Well,
good.
apparently, they've had projects ever since the early 70s, taking people for different time travel type of. You've seen that guy that's a lawyer that is putting his title or his whatever,
name.
I can't think of the word right now, on the line for saying his claims of being part of this government time travel experiment.
Right. It could be this inside Project Pegasus teleportation. I'm just looking it up on the internet right now, folks. Well, here I've been doing conspiracy videos for so long. I have never heard the Pegasus project brought up, and wouldn't it? It's you, Candy Rain, that brought up the Pegasus project. I've never even looked into this. So this is fascinating, folks. You can actually look into this story of the Project Pegasus teleportation time travel on YouTube. I'll give you guys the link in the show if you want to look it up. Inside Pegasus. Oh, yeah. I don't want a commercial. Teleportation time travel on YouTube.
I believe once the Pegasus program fully understands, somebody within about 15 years will be able to utilize that knowledge to perfect some sort of time travel. Now you can't, I don't think you can, it's hard to determine whether you're able to travel in future or past. I mean, it all depends on fine-tuning.
Okay, James Anderson says that the guy was debunked as a liar on Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones may very well be COINTELPRO. He may very well be the very kind of thing he talks about on his show.
Alex Jones has also been debunked himself.
I'm sure he has been debunked, and he's probably doing a lot with his $9 million income per year. No one knows where it's coming from. Yeah, I'd like to know where he's making his money. That's the weird thing about Alex Jones. The pathetic thing about today's show is that he's gold. No, gosh, why are you running me down? This guy is so in need of a ban.
The thing about Alex Jones.
Yeah, hang on a second.
shows that he's gold. No, God.
I believe in experience over book knowledge.
Right.
And unfortunately for Alex Jones, I believe if somebody of his caliber was actually positive within some type of theories, he would not be doing it for money, just like a psychic. If you're psychic, you're not going to exploit your abilities.
We'll see.
Well, you're not going to receive payment of exploitation for your abilities.
Right. Well, we don't know what goes on in the mind of people. It's strange, but I can't really verify what he's saying. He's the only guy that's gotten into Bohemian Grove. Now, how is it Alex Jones got into Bohemian Grove to do videotaping of that owl ceremony they do? I got to ask you, how did he get close enough? Because most people are pulled away. They've got ample security around that organization. This is a meeting group where people go from all around the world to meet secretly and have weird cultic masses, altars where they sacrifice things. I mean, these are some of the richest people in the country that go and get involved.
That's called ninja style, Dave.
I don't know, man. If it's Gangman style, I don't know what it is. I do know that Sonia Sotomayor, the current Chief Justice, who's been elevated in power, who's Hispanic in her background, she is a member of one of the subgroups for women that belong to the Bohemian Grove Society. But why are these people gathering and having masses and giving up their interest in the poor and all? I can't even make sense of it. All I'm saying is this is bizarre. Donald Duck, if you think I'm in Disneyland, I need to show you a conspiracy video that's even weirder. But this is actually very, very fun for me because I get to show all these wacky theories.
This is very, very fun for me.
Your answer may lie in a line supposedly in the Bible, and it says that the meek shall inherit the earth.
Right, the
those
followers.
that are within power fear this, so they know that because it's our ages, so it's not like Stone Age or anything anymore, and they're threatened.
Right.
They've been threatened for centuries.
They have, and I really am concerned that you want to talk about Donald Duck. Yeah, we can talk about all the imagery in what Disney did to support Hitler. This is a rare Donald Duck video that has very rarely been seen. I'm going to show you just a clip of it. Coming out of the Disney studios that profiled Hitler in a positive way.
Here, improve the mind. Heil Hitler.
Oh yes, this is very interesting. I've seen this.
Oh, have you? Well, I'm not going to play
Kind of disturbing.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it all for you because there are certain considerations like Digital Copyright Millennium Act, and I don't want in any way get into a legal battle with Disney. But the fact is, Walt Disney supported a lot of the activities at that time by making propaganda films for Hitler. These were interesting. They could be used as satire or they could be used as support. You can look at it both ways. Anyway, let's take a look at this picture of the World Trade Center attack that seems to be on my screen for the past 5 minutes. The pictures of the explosions.
Exactly. If anybody's interested in seeing any of that stuff more, it's definitely available on YouTube.
Anyway.
Yes, you can look up YouTube, and YouTube's a great furtive ground for investigation, for all of you to open your mind and look into the possibilities that some of these things could be true. Now, the explosions coming out of the World Trade Center attack building that I'm showing you here are passed off by the 9/11 Commission report as simply collapsing floors spurting out. But there were eyewitnesses on the ground, even in Building 7, the building that was not hit by planes. There were eyewitnesses on the ground that said that there was definitely an explosion there, if not multiple explosions, and they heard numerous blasts. And it's even heard in audio clips around the buildings when they're going down. So, that being said, why is it the 9/11 Commission report did not investigate demolition as a possibility? Now, clearly, these are the only two buildings ever hit by planes that have been taken down, demolished style, the same way a demolition goes down, straight down. And somebody said, well, they planted the bombs ahead of time to take down Building 7, and that's why they... Name one building in America that's already preset with explosives in it, ready to go anytime the fire department says pull it. Or in this case, Larry Silverstein, who is the owner of the building, saying pull it.
Is this the idea of Minneapolis rigged like that?
Oh, is it really? Is there an actual building in America that's rigged to go off whenever they decide to pull the plug that's not a demolition? Because I don't know of any.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's the IDS in Minneapolis. I've heard that it does have explosives, so that if something happens, it won't fall over, it will just collapse instead of falling over onto other buildings.
Yeah, well, I'd like to know if they have pre-rigged any buildings in America. I've never heard this as public information, so we'll see. But if that theory is the one that many people are using to debunk questions of the World Trade Center, then hey, run with it. But even that's a little weird, don't you think? All right, so now, being this is a Conspiracy Monday and I'm wrapping up our retro show here, looking at these questions, I have to ask all of you, are we going to sit back and listen to our government tell us that everything's fine, and then we should all fear these nebulous enemies out there, the Al-Qaeda people? It turns out Al-Qaeda, by the way, is the name of a database that the CIA was using 20, 30 years ago. And they used that same name of a database of thugs as the organized group that's out to attack us, okay? That being said, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to look beyond what they're feeding us and say, where is our country going to go? How do we lower the threat of war? How do we lower the threat of terrorism? Instead of just putting our bases on alert, let's talk about turning our bases into places people can work through immigration problems and learn English as a primary language and get U.S. citizenship. Let's not just treat our bases as if they're opinions in this war game that's going on between the CIA and the State Department and the Congress, which seems to be what's happening. Apparently a cover-up is going on of largest magnitude our country's ever faced. We've also seen cover-ups with the Abbottabad case.
What?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you when you said about to learn English.
Sure.
Like, when I went to the Georgia Guidestones, it said on one of the lines, like, make a new living language. Like,
wow.
Apparently that means worldwide. Like, I kind of wanted to know what you thought about the Georgia Guidestones saying that.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe we should make a new world language. I don't believe in that concept. I believe that we need to take care of our country.
Yeah,
other countries take care of their countries.
It said make a new living language.
Okay, well, I think it's suspicious at best. The Georgia Guidestones were built, by the way, at the end of Ronald Reagan's presidency. And I doubt Ronald Reagan even knew about it. I mean, he seemed a little bit out to lunch when it came to the plots around him. I believe that Ronald Reagan was probably, the attack on him, the assassination attempt, was probably by design. They didn't want him. They didn't want a guy who was forceful and dynamic and popular as Ronald Reagan. George H.W. Bush, as you know, was a vice president under Ronald Reagan.
Apparently, a time capsule right up underneath one of the plaques there.
Right, a time capsule. Yes, there is. And what they're saying in the Georgia Guidestones is so bizarre that one can not even guess what it really means. All I'm saying really is we've got a threat of a potential RoboCop takeover of our world in the next 20 years, believe it or not. I know this may sound bizarre to you, but robotic police officers will be on the scene within the next 3 to 5 years in some areas. So we are rapidly progressing technologically on Earth to the point where if we don't get a handle on our democracy or what's left of our republic, we're not going to have the ability to stop the Terminator, the RoboCop style guy that'll walk up to your house and say, "I'm a cop, you idiot. I'm a cybernetic organism. Human flesh over metal exoskeleton. I'm a cop, you idiot." You know, I mean, you're going to have that happening and you won't even know what to do.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. And then you've got the whole concept of technology becoming unleashed on the American people and our rights being taken away. Now, to wrap this show up, and the complicated nature of conspiracies today, we're going to bring up a couple conspiracy facts, which I think all of you need to deal with, and that is the NSA is watching you. They've openly admitted it to the American people this past 2 weeks. Ever since Edward Snowden has been arrested, it's going on 3 or 4 weeks now, the American people are now aware that the NSA is watching everything we do. The possibility of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy eroding isn't a possibility, it's really happening. We don't have privacy anymore. And the two parties, they don't care. Obama, he's okay with it. He thinks, well, make no mistake about it, it's transparent. He told Charlie Rose it was transparent because one FISA judge overturned one case of wiretapping over the past 9 years. That is not transparency, folks. We need some much more transparent oversight and checks and balances. So that in and of itself is a rallying point for the third party. I don't care where you stand on conspiracy theories, folks. If you're not spot on conspiracy facts, that they are watching us, and what Edward Snowden did, what Thomas Drake, the whistleblower, did to talk about how Skype communications are hackable and by these agencies like the NSA, they are taking a risk, and I'm taking a risk just talking to you about it, just telling you, hey, we need political power to get a check and balance in America. Otherwise, we're going to be walked over by robocops in the next 20 years. And your kids will be zip-tied and taken to the FEMA camps. God knows what's going to happen. Our nation has got to get democracy in order and get our republic back on track. I'm not a person who believes that we can either have one or the other. We can have both. We can have an emerging supermajority democracy with 2/3 of the American people deciding on their fate, and we can also have a very, very successful republic guaranteeing our rights as written in the Constitution and the amendments. Okay, that being said, we're going to have to just close this show and make you think about what a third party means to you, because this is really important, folks. We can't just do this on our own in this vacuum tube of the blogosphere. We need your help. We need you to talk about a third party so that we can get a political voice to challenge the two parties in all the errors they're making right now, from the economy to the strategies in foreign policy to our environment. They're making so many decisions that are detrimental to our future that we, as Americans, are going to get left out holding the bag, wondering, where's mine? You're getting nothing. You got none of the TARP money. All that went out through the Federal Reserve to the big Wall Street bankers. All the TARP money has been doled out, $6.1 trillion over the past 4 years, all of which could have been dispersed among American citizens, and each of us would have had $24,000 apiece. Now tell me that wouldn't have helped the economy. I mean, clearly it would have helped the economy. What would you have bought for $24,000, Candy? A new swimming pool? Let me guess. What would you have spent $24,000 on?
You spent $24,000.
For $24,000, I probably would have already bought the house off.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. She would have bought her house off and then had no payments to make other than taxes, and that would have saved her a lot on interest. There you go, and that would have helped your personal economy, and you would have been more survivable. In the long run, you're a better consumer and a better retail consumer if you have money as opposed to borrowing it incessantly. So the credit card economy is part of the two-party system's control over our nation. Go ahead.
Investing in the house is like investing in my own personal bank.
That is a great concept. I love that. Yeah. And so many people in America believe their house is their personal bank too. I want to help preserve that dream. And the dream of home ownership is something we hold dear in America.
Great.
So I'm going to say goodnight on the recorded video. And I want to thank you for coming in on your birthday, Candy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to come back to Candy in just a second. She will be on, and
I do want to kind
I'm going to come back again in just a second.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a statement upon what you were saying about earlier. Honestly, to be brutally honest, and just lay it out on the line, we've been trusting in a Democrat and Republic party for how long? How many people within each party supposedly trusting and then turning around to be disappointed and not even realize until the very end that we're being leaded like sheep.
Yes, you're right. We were being led like sheep.
When are
You're right.
you going to realize that you need somebody like David? You want change? You don't need change that's Obama, because Obama's not change. He's part of that Democrat and Republican Party. That's not change. You don't find change within. You find change from the outside, and that is David. And if you say you want change, then you vote David. If you vote for...
Wow. For some reason, that was cut down. Your transmission's been dropped off. For some reason, I love what you were saying. It was awesome. If you really want change, it has to come from outside. And I thank her for her very passionate appeal. And I want to sign off on the recorded broadcast for that purpose right now. We've got a connection down. We're just going to go ahead and sign off right now.
Everywhere a little bit.
Okay. It's a very impassioned statement she made. Wasn't that amazing? Conspiracy Monday, folks, is something that you can watch in the future. And we are on 6 to 9 p.m. every single night, Pacific time, except, of course, weekends. I hope that recorded. Wow. Look at that.
That's
the whole
announce. That's an announce. That's not what you
Okay, great. Oh, we are recorded. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching. Come back next time.